several other players that you're running into, but these players aren't really running into one another so much. But we have yet another Mirage on the screen. Is this the return of the Mirage? I'm very curious, because I think Mirage is a very strong legend. Of course, Scythe very strong. Of course, Spear seems like it's always going to be strong in Brawlhalla. But Sgrape playing very defensively so far, just running away from Acno, utilizing those that top soft platform. He lives there.
Yeah, exactly, and that's going to be the kind of difficulty matchup between Katars, and as I say that, the strength of Katars showing out 3 down airs. I feel like everyone gets hit by that one, and that's going to be a clean way to close out that stock for Acno. Very early stock indeed. As I was saying, Sgrape, having that control and saying, you're Katars, you have to come up to me on the soft platform. And when it finally does happen that Acno gets a hit with the Katars, it becomes very scary indeed. Now the Axe versus the Scythe, as we look for Sgrape to try to even it up and stop the bleeding while he can. Nair is able to get him back on stage, but yeah, it goes for a signature there, and that's going to get punished accordingly by Sgrape, and we're back to even stocks.
Acno may be feeling himself a little bit too much with that side signature. Of course, it is strong on the edge because you like reach over the edge and you pick up the bottom side of that side signature in case someone's a little bit too high on the wall. Okay, Acno's Katars. Maybe he just needs to stick with that. Axe be darned.
Yeah, I mean, the Katars seem to be absolutely paying the bills this time. The recovery tries to cover the soft platform. Sgrape not giving it to him, but now that's a big open up and gets immediately caught with a downer. What are you doing that low? Just an immediate tap. Bonk, you're back, and that's going to be a stock lead in the favor of Acno once again as the Katars comes out. And we've seen what this Katars can do off of any opening, but the same can be said against for Sgrape's Spear.
That D-Light after the side sig was kind of sick from Sgrape. I'm not used to seeing like the side sig into the immediate D-Light. That pressure coming right away. Usually it's like, oh, I either hit or whiff the side sig. I'm going to back up just a little bit and then figure out what I want to do, see if I can get a dodge or anything like that. But Sgrape was right in on it. Acno has the Katars in his hands. He was going for the half pipe there, turning around that down air rather than pushing off stage because he knows he needs a little bit more damage. He can't really count on those like triple dares that he got in the first stock every single time. That's usually like a miracle that happens as he dodges through the ground pound from Sgrape. Sgrape. Oh, just an instant punish. That's a 2-stock for Acno. That's a very bold statement based on how Sgrape started off this game. The way he was like getting one hit, and then I'm going to back up, and then I'm going to get one hit, and then I'm going to go onto the soft platform, and then Acno's like, nope, we're on the edge now. Here's a triple dare. You're done.
Yeah. What's interesting, especially when it's Spear and Katars, both of them having SIGs that cover the immediate jump from the wall. So it's forcing them to stay really far below the wall, and it kind of forces you to commit to going for the edge guard. So you're seeing them hold the stage instead, saying, I have a SIG that's able to cover that immediate jump very, very well. I'm just going to sit here and wait for you. And that's exactly what Acno did that last stock, and it worked out in a major way. As we see a switch to Tesca for Sgrape, you're hoping to contend with the speed that Katars brings to the table.
And if you're talking about playing on those walls and having a signature that covers the wall, I can really maybe only see, well, maybe since it was the swap to Tesca, maybe not so much, but because we're on Demon Island, those are tiny walls, PJ. Yeah. You don't have a lot of room to play around there, but I think things likely will change because we're looking at the Tesca here. Both weapons are a much greater threat than either weapon he had previously when he was playing the Mirage.
Yeah, and at times Ragnar can have trouble recovering, especially with a lack of wall, because a lot of it is kind of like very varying how high on the wall you're going to land, but Tesca's just like, we're on Demon Island, I'm just going to ground pound the wall and see what you have to do, because you have to go vertically up diagonally. Ooh. And exactly that. Once again, that signature is going to be so good at catching that immediate lip from the wall.
That Spitfire Blast, he has it on Katars. He also has the side signature that he can cover over the wall with on the Axe when that's in his hands as well. Even though he was sweating right there, he's keeping the pressure up on Sgrape. They are even so far. You're seeing Sgrape, again, he's backing up a lot. Acno has him on the back foot so often, but he seems like he feels much more comfortable with the boots, at least with the ability to respond, as he's not just running away. They're kind of trading hit for hit, although Acno really has a little bit more of the power position here. He has more of the damage onto Sgrape. They're both giving each other a lot of space, PJ.
Yeah, it's all done in the corner here, and as you see, like, both of them having good dares to get back from outside and above the wall, like back into the center stage, diagonally down and in, are going to be very, very important for how they're playing in the corner. Like, they're very, very much so respecting each other and just playing in that corner and kind of finding their own happy place.
Ooh, going for the down signature on stage. Now that's an interesting signature because you can just kind of hold it for a little while and you stay there and you're breathing fire and you're breathing fire and you're breathing fire. I'm wondering if that was just a bait that he was going for because you saw he didn't really charge it for that long. He didn't just hold it there hoping his opponent would fall into it. That would kind of be like you are expecting your opponent to make a massive mistake, which doesn't happen too often at this level. So I think he was just using that as a bait to either bait a move that he could whiff punish off of later or maybe bait a dodge.
Yeah, this matchup between the Axe and the boots is so interesting to me because you're looking at Acno looking to whip punish a lot of the aggression with that down air and just getting like little pokes here and there and finally gets a neutral light to get a little bit of something going. The down light pop-up, no gravity cancel read is going to work out there, but now switching back to the guitars, hoping to hold, yeah, with that signature that's been paying the bills for Acno so far. Another double dash in and then immediately goes for that. What a burst option mix-up. I was not ready for that either as Acno is able to burst in with that recovery. That happened at lightning speed. How are you prepared for that?
He caught the cross up there with the weapon toss that went up and right and then the 45-degree angle guitar recovery that went up and left. It even hit like the final frames of it, which is why you kind of got that like silent. He put the suppressor on it.
Yeah.
He screwed that one on in the moment, put the suppressor on and launched into the air as Acno takes another game. And Sgrape, yet again, we talked about that Sgrape character crisis, man. I want him to find it. I know he wants to find it as well. He's going over to the King Knight. We're getting the Roland here against Acno. Sgrape just throwing anything at the wall, hoping something sticks against Acno because he's been so dominant.
These aren't half switches where you're keeping one of the weapons you're previously using. It's complete switches of weapons. It's like I need to get something going correctly because Sgrape is just switching crazy. Now we're back onto sword and lance that we were talking a lot about. He used lance dominance and goes for a gravity cancel sick to try to catch a horizontal recovery and no punish from Acno as they both get back unscathed, as it seemed like a very bad position for both of the players there. Nice chase dodge, look for a dodge in, doesn't quite get one, and it is just absolute contention off stage and in the air between these two weapons.
So one thing that Sgrape will have here, which is one of the main reasons that people will ever kind of pick Roland, and believe me, it's a rare occurrence, PJ, but it's that high defense. That's one of the main reasons you pick this legend, is you can take a lot of punishment. And when you're going against an Axe player, the fact that it requires them to hit several more moves on you, or they have to hit the right KO move at the right place at the right time, means that Sgrape can do what he's doing right now and essentially eat that Axe recovery and still come back and keep this game virtually even.
And exactly with like Sgrape's game plan being a lot more aggressive off stage, being able to live one or two more versatile recoveries is good, and there barely is going to be able to close it out as it gets really, really high in the damage there. As we get back to an Axe here as Sgrape looks for a weapon. Finally, the sword comes online. The side air not enough to take the stock, but able to cover the jump in with the recovery. Very clean stuff.
Yeah, initially that was a little bit unfortunate for Sgrape because the side air bounced Acno off the stage, which takes away so much of your momentum, so it's not going to send him immediately over to the blast zone for the KO, but he's able to follow it up out there, got the KO, and again, because of that high defense means he's able to survive so much longer, take so many more hits, so that he can still keep it relatively even, although Acno is finding so many more moves in comparison.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that as the guitars and lance comes through, because it seems like it's death by 1,000 stabs as the guitars comes online, is able to catch that stall there with the Sig, and it's going to be a 2-stock to 1 lead now for Acno as Sgrape potentially on the winner side stock here.
Yeah, Sgrape getting 3-0'd here would definitely be tough. Tried to went for the big play, but he doesn't make a connection with the ground pound. That certainly would have KO'd. He's going for the juggles with the neutral airs. He's not really immediately going for the recovery follow-up. Does hit the side air. Acno's able to get back, but the big bat swing. 45-degree angle again. That's the farthest angle you can possibly send someone until they reach the blast zone. And Roland not having a lot of strength because so many of those points are put into the defense.
Big catches there, and any of this extra credit is going to be good for Acno. And you're even potentially looking to close out the game on this stock. There, the big 45 swing once again is going to be able to close
dude,
that.
He's going to taunt after that one. I don't know, like the scoreboard is on the screen for us and the viewers at home. The scoreboard is not on the screen at his home in the game client, but he needs to pay attention to the scoreboard because he's down 0-2.
Hey, sometimes that's what you need to get your swagger back, get a little taunt in and forget and say, hey, maybe, I'm looking for for reverse 3-0, you got to have a little bit of swagger. Any momentum for Sgrape is good momentum. As this Lance goes online, but the side air from the axe, as you were saying, high defense Legend is going to be able to live a little bit longer here.
Ooh, nice. I was expecting an immediate side sig coming through from Acno. He wanted to play a little bit more carefully. Like, he knows that Sgrape is finding damage here. He does have the sword in his hands. Man, that Qatar Nair sent Sgrape flying.
Yeah, that move is so deadly, especially off stage as well. And even as a neutral threat to cover those scrap situations and just send off stage and reset. Acno sent off stage with that and catches the recovery with the weapon and looks to tap in, but doesn't quite find a way to get the edge guard there, as now Acno without a weapon and has to struggle to find one. Sgrape, of course, high defense once again, but it seems like it could be anyone's game, even with the damage being so swayed in one direction. As the weapon toss into the Nair, comes to another Nair, tries to make a big read on the recovery. They both are now unarmed, but Acno is able to get back on the Katars. As the sidelight sends off stage, looks to cover an immediate recovery, doesn't find it, as the tension is building in center stage as Sgrape gets the sidelight. Can they find the edge guard? No, they cannot. Acno pack on the wall once again.
It's crazy that this is like a 4.5-minute game. So far, it's a Lance Headlight that gets the KO. And Sgrape takes the game, takes game 3, denies the 3-0 from Acno, and we're going to move on into game 4. The King Knight just barely pulling through for Sgrape.
Yeah, and you were talking about it exactly, like high defense. Our high defense played a major part because a lot of times they were getting reversaled by the recovery moves, and it just wasn't KOing. And just giving yourself that one extra chance. I mean, it's super dark red at that point in the game, but still saying, you know what, I'm playing a high defense character for a reason. I'm just going to hold on to this, and I can win this. And it's important to get that swagger back. So as you're saying, like, you know, they see that we see it's an 0-2 at home, but hey, that swagger and that resilience is going to be important, especially as you look to make a reverse 3-0 on Acno, which is going to be a heck of a task.
I think it's a famous hip-hop sample. I guess I got my swagger back. Sgrape, 624 damage is what he dealt that game. That is a lot of damage.
That's a lot.
You turn red at 150. Normally you're not finding KOs immediately at red, but the fact that it took on average 208 damage per stock, yes, he pulled it out, but that's not a good number. You don't want to be doing or being required to do 208 damage on average per stock to find the KO. But he's swapping now over to the Orion, a very friendly signature kit here. Orion players love the signature kit because it's so strong. The D-Sig on Lance, the N-Sig on Lance, the D-Sig on Spear as well. Those are like the main popular ones that we love to see, that players like Stingray are so good at just I'm going to be real, spamming, but they do it smart, and they do it at the right place at the right time, and they know how to do it.
Nice conversion for Acno. I was talking about the half. There was no half measures for Sgrape's character switches, right? Like, no weapons in common, but now bringing back the Lance and then bringing back the Spear, saying, you know, the sword wasn't doing as much as I wanted. We're going to switch and keep the Lance online, because I think the Lance recovery and the has been helping a lot in avoiding those Qatar edge guards that Acno has been doing, especially game 1. We saw that triple down air.
Okay, now he's pushing over to the edge. That's going to be an area that Acno probably wants to play this game. Is really a lot over on the edge. Lance is a goofy weapon on the edge. Of course, it has that very telegraphed recovery as Sgrape takes away that first stock from Acno, but it has that really highly telegraphed recovery, which if Acno had another weapon in his hands at the end of last game that he could have thrown at Sgrape after he threw the one that existed from the stage, he likely would have won the last game, but he didn't. So Sgrape was able to get back because it's the risk reward, right? It's very telegraphed, but you move. You are making moves when you throw that, and you're able to channel it all the way and charge it all the way.
Spear online here versus the Axe, and a lot of just grounded game plan from Sgrape, waiting for Acno to try to land, and great conversion. That was it, a downlight into a Sig there.
It was a downlight in Sig, rather than attempting to go for the D-light into the side air, which likely would not have KO'd based on where Acno was in his damage profile at the moment. So that was a nice little mix-up there from Sgrape. And Acno just turns it around, hits the big slap on the Qatar side air.
That angle is terrible it sends you at. It's such a difficult way. Even if you do have resources, it creates it really limits your recovery options.
It's a very steep angle.
Gotta hustle back
like a semi spike.
Yeah. Acno looking to catch the laser recovery option. Sgrape not giving it to him quite yet, though. now have the spear once again. We're seeing a lot of the spear axe dance as Sgrape utilizing the platform to try to press the issue with Lance, which, or sorry, not Lance, with spear, which could kind of be difficult versus the axe. Nice catch.
And there you have it. Acno was going to take the game. One thing that was really interesting about Sgrape is the fact that we saw 2 insigs coming out from him. We saw no spear desig. And if you watch like any Stingray game, who is like probably one of the best Lance players, also one of the best Orion players in the entire game, like he's using that desig on spear